Hello, everyone. This is Bill Koenig for the 007 Files. I'm here with my co-hosts, Javi Trujillo and David Leigh. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks, Bill.
This is episode 1 of our 4th season, and we are taking a look ahead to 2026. We're recording this January 20th, but there's not a whole lot. There's a lot coming up, but it hasn't happened yet for the most part. Basically, in last year, 2025, we had Eon yielding creative control to Amazon. We had the hiring of 2 producers, David Heyman and Amy Pascal. Denis Villeneuve agreed to be the director, but he's still wrapping up work on the 3rd Dune movie. And we have a writer, Stephen Knight. But we still have no Bond actor, and we don't have a Bond crew, really, aside from the ones they've hired. But I still thought this would be a good time to expect what's going to happen. David, you've done a video about what could happen in 2026. Let's start with you. What's your outlook for the year?
Okay. Yeah, my outlook actually is pretty simple. It is, we're not going to hear anything in the first half of the year because Stephen Knight is going to continue working on the script. I think Denis Villeneuve is going to have more time to focus on Bond while he was directing Dune. He had basically no time for Bond. I think directing is a full-time occupation, whereas working in post-production isn't so much. So he's going to be able to shift his attention towards Bond. So he's going to get involved in the script. So I think if things run smoothly, by the middle of the year, they will have the script in a pretty good position. Not the final shooting script, but it'll be in a good enough position to say, this is what the next era of Bond is going to be about, and this is the type of actor that we want. And so it's at that point that they can start shortlisting the actors. They can screen test a handful of them, and I think that they will choose their actor in the second half of this year. But I think that's all that's going to happen, because I think that after that, they will move into full pre-production, and we're going to get a shoot in 2027 for a 2028 release. Some big things will happen this year, I think. It's just going to be very quiet for a long time, though.
Javi, what's your opinion?
I would be very, very surprised if we get anything concrete before, July of this year, with all, like, to what David said, with all the work that Villeneuve's got to do with Dune 3. It just makes sense to let the video game have its moment in the sun and build up some buzz. And part of me always kind of hopes they make some big announcement for Global James Bond Day. Like, that would be a fun way to ring in the year by announcing a new actor then, because otherwise it could come at any time, really. But I wouldn't anticipate any casting news until the latter half of 2026.
I was about to say, I think there's going to be a part of the year where Villeneuve can do more with Bond than he's been able to, echoing what David said. But I think at the very end of the year, he's going to have publicity duties for the 3rd Dune movie. It's got a release date toward the end of the year, November maybe.
It's December. It's like,
is it December? Okay.
Yeah, it's mid-December, I think.
Right. So like late November into December, I think he's going to have to kind of get off the Bond train and do his publicity duties for that movie. But still, there's
publicity
time,
duties are going to be, everyone's going to be asking him about Bond during Dune 3, and he's probably going to get sick of it. But it's expected to release December 18th, 2026.
A week before Christmas.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So obviously, there's no way that people aren't going to ask him about it.
There's been some talk about Dune being brought forward to, I think it was September or something, for the Venice Film Festival. But so far that hasn't shifted. So I don't know if there's anything to that. And, I think showing it in September rather than December seems a bit far-fetched. I think they probably don't have that much slack in the system.
Here's the thing that complicates it, possibly, is Dune has had that date for a while, I feel like. And due to various things on the Marvel side, they had to push back their next Avengers movie, which is now releasing the same date as Dune 3. And while they're trying to build hype for it a year in advance, they just did a different teaser every week attached to the new Avatar movie, highlighting some of the characters that are coming back for this movie from different, not just the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but from like the prior Fox universe. I don't really know if it's moved the needle a whole bunch for that franchise. And they even have a running countdown clock for when the movie comes out on their YouTube channel. So the last few Marvel movies haven't done great. The streaming series haven't done great. Like the Superman movie made almost 75 million more than the Fantastic Four. So is this trip back to the multiverse going to be enough of a threat to where Warner Brothers is like, maybe we should move Dune out of competition? You know, who's going to blink first? Or are they going to kind of cannibalize their audiences? Because you basically have two sci-fi IPs opening on the same day that have big audiences going to them now.
Right. In the case of Warner Brothers, who's going to own them by the end of the year, since they're the subject of a takeover battle between Netflix and Skydance Paramount?
I mean, Dune is it shot entirely in IMAX? I don't remember, or just big portions of it, but that's going to have a lot of those screens tied up too. So that's going to hurt both movies who are going to look for those premium format screens.
Right. And the premium format screens are increasingly important for those kinds of movies.
Yeah. Because they charge more.
You know, yeah. Well, yeah, they need the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what is it? The Odyssey, which is coming out in the summer, Christopher Nolan's latest movie, I think was shot entirely on IMAX. He's a big believer in IMAX and all that. So anyway, we'll see. There's still some uncertainty with exactly, will Dune make that release date? Marvel has already knocked the Avengers movie. It was originally supposed to be in the summer, and now they moved it back to December. So it's like, are they going to want to move it back again, et cetera, et cetera? So.
But I mean, Bill, with whatever Dead Reckoning movie, that got a very truncated IMAX release because of Oppenheimer.
Yes.
And then they're like, well, we'll give you some more screens, Tom, once, Oppenheimer dies down, except it didn't die down. And people kept going to see it. And he didn't get, his IMAX screens back. And that affected the box office for that Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the one that came out in 2023.
Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is now just Dead Reckoning because it did so great.
Yeah. So anyway, there's still some uncertainty related to all this. But I mean, again, I believe that Villeneuve will start doing more Bond stuff this year. Just his exact schedule maybe is a smidge up in the air, but.
Yeah. I mean, the Dune release is one reason that I think that we can't start shooting this year, because he needs to get that all out the way before they shoot. I mean, I think that's clear. So there are lots of people saying, "Oh, yeah, they'll start in September this year or something." But I just think that can't happen. It's too quick. There's too much that needs to happen before then, and then you've got the release of Dune, which Villeneuve needs to get out the way as well. So that's why I say 2027 for shooting for sure.
Well, and something else that's a factor is that Pinewood, Bond's traditional studio home, is under control of a long-term lease by Disney. And so Disney controls most of what's available. But although Pinewood has added some additional studio space in recent years, I think it was a 10-year lease, and I think it was announced in 2019.
Yeah, that's right. It's a 10-year lease.
So I would assume it's still going to be, that's going to be a factor. Now, will the next Bond movie be able to get space at Pinewood? Amazon did buy Bray Studios, but my understanding is that's a relatively small studio, and it may not have the facilities to be the home base for a Bond film. I mean, we'll see, but
it made me think with Dune. I think all of them, but certainly the latest one, have been shot in Hungary, in Budapest. So I was wondering if, like Casino Royale, shot in Prague rather than most of it wasn't shot at Pinewood. I wonder if Bond 26 can go to somewhere like Budapest.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, that's another question that I don't have an answer for, and nobody has said anything.
No, but it's certainly not the first Bond film to shoot elsewhere. It's happened with numerous films now.
We recently, did a 3-part look at Casino Royale, and of course, Pinewood was unavailable for that, and they ended up building a facility at Leavesden, which was
GoldenEye,
an old Rolls-Royce factory. GoldenEye. If I misspoke, I apologize.
Yeah.
GoldenEye. We did 3 parts on GoldenEye, which they had to build. Pinewood was unavailable, so they had to build a new studio at an old Rolls-Royce aircraft engine plant. That has since become a working studio owned by Warner Brothers. The Harry Potter movies were there and other Warner Brothers productions. So we'll see. I mean, that's not super critical. They'll find some place, but it is kind of curious, can they do it in the UK? Do they have to go to Eastern Europe? Who knows? But we'll see.
If they can't find somewhere, they'll build somewhere.
Right. So
Amazon must have some spare warehouses somewhere they can use for film studios.
Yeah, perhaps so. One thing I wanted to talk about is, in the interim, before we get concrete news, I suspect we're going to get a lot of fantasy news. And specifically, the UK bookies are always putting, they're revising their odds for who's going to be the next Bond movie or next Bond actor. And then the tabloids jump on that, and it's just,
the big question: who are the bookies going to choose as the next Bond?
I know.
The producers don't have anything to do with it. The director doesn't have anything to do with it. It's the bookies,
right? Well, as something that we were about a week ago, as we record this story appeared in World of Real, and David, you put it to my attention. So, and here's just a thing. So they quoted this reporter for Deadline Hollywood, Justin Kroll, and, says his sources indicate the next new Bond will likely be cast in the middle of this year, with filming starting late this year or early next year. Now, and it linked to, he said this on a podcast. Well, I followed the link to the podcast. And first of all, he didn't say it was definite. He said, I am predicting. I went to that podcast, and it took me a while to find it because it's only about 2 minutes out of a almost hour podcast. And it's like, I am predicting is a lot different than I am reporting. But that doesn't matter because a lot of people don't go and actually hear the original. They see the World of Real, and they quote it. And it's like, and so for about a week to 10 days, I was seeing all sorts of people on social media running with this. And the thing is,
I didn't immediately go to the podcast and check it out because it was Saturday night for me, and I was doing Saturday night stuff, and I'd just seen this. So, but in fact, when I did go to the podcast, you gave me the time code for it, which helped. But also, I went to the transcript on YouTube and just did a search and found it as well.
And the thing is, what Kroll said is it's entirely plausible. It's not like it was like totally out of left field. But again, he's predicting it. But, it doesn't matter. Fans run with it. It's like fans typically don't follow it all the way to the source. They see something and they either like, whatever. And anyway, I suspect we're going to have a lot more of this between now and more concrete news coming up.
There's a lot of conjecture in that article where they just mention how it's a clear return to Fleming's more brutal version of the character. Sources also indicate that Knight is drawing heavily from Fleming's earliest novels, which could mean a return to Bond's Royal Navy background and his rise through MI6 before attaining his 00 status. which that is not anything from Fleming's novels at all. And they it's very well laughable. Have an origin story on our hands, probably potentially set in the 50s or 60s. Not a done deal, but that's what many fans would love to see, a period set Bond. Yeah, I don't really see a lot of that talk going on. And that's not reporting, that's them speculating, or that's what they want to see.
I can't see that they're really going to go for another origin story, because we had it with Casino Royale. So,
we're getting even though it this year with the game.
Yeah, that's true as well. And so it just seems to be, if you do that, you're just rehashing the same thing again and again and again, trying to tell exactly the same story. So that just seems pointless to me. And I think, fans will get pretty bored of that. We don't need it. What we need, in fact, is a Bond that we didn't have in the Daniel Craig era, who is Bond at his prime, because Daniel Craig's Bond was either inexperienced or he was past it, but we didn't get him right in the middle period when he was just Bond.
Right. And then something else a little bit further back, there was a website that did an interview with one of the game developers, 007 First Light. And it's a basic interview, and the guy made a comment about modern audiences or something. So then another website summarizes the first website, but they have more of a clickbaity headline where all this about modern audiences and stuff is in the headline. And then people are jumping on that, not the original interview. They're jumping on that. And then you got YouTube channels are like, they're jumping on it too. And this is woke. And it's like, woe is us. And it's like, guys, can we at least wait till the game comes out? It's going to be the middle part of the year. But no, we're going to just. So I think what's going to happen is, as I keep saying, nature abhors a vacuum. And until we have more concrete news, we can expect more of this kind of stuff. Bookies, woke, whatever. It's just very annoying, put it that way.
It is annoying. It is annoying, and I find it incredible that so many Bond fans believe these stories when they see them. But also, I think it does show that Bond is still healthy, because if people weren't interested in these stories, they wouldn't be publishing these stories at all. So it shows that there is an appetite for Bond. Who, I get comments on YouTube and emails saying, Bond's past it. They killed him off. That's it. I don't want any more Bond. Or I had one today saying, the last time I saw Bond at the cinema was Roger Moore, and I don't want anything to do with it. And I think, well, if that's your attitude, I don't understand why you're telling me. That's fine, but you spent a bit of energy telling me something that I'm just going to delete anyway.
Yeah, there is something about, in particular, the bookies generated stories that just, it's like Facebook in particular. What will happen is someone sees one of these stories. It's based on the latest changes of odds by the bookies. So-and-so is the new favorite. Someone posts it and they go, this guy, he's terrible. And then when I see one of these, I'll put in the comments, I said, this is based on what the bookies are saying. They don't decide, don't get upset right now. It's like, wait till he's cast before, you get upset. But people, they don't have the patience, and they don't, and a lot of times they don't even read the story. They just see the headline, they're reacting to it. And it's just.
And that's true. That's true. When I used to post to Facebook a lot, I realized after a while that most people were just reacting to the titles. They weren't reading the stories at all. It's ridiculous.
Well, I just think, listen, there's a lot that will be happening. I don't think as we've discussed, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot happening until, say, the middle of the year. I'll be happy to be proven wrong, but I think it's going to take, let me put it this way. if there's anything we've learned in the last 10 years, it's like when it comes to is Bond coming sooner or later, go with the later. In sports betting, there's the over and under where you're betting whether something, total points in a game, will it be above, will it be below? So when it comes to Bond, will it be sooner, will it be later? Go with the later. Yeah. It's always easier to delay.
I don't remember. Sorry, I don't know if you remember, Bill, but when we were on James Bond and Friends, that we were talking one time about when we thought the next Bond film would be released. And I remember we were joking, saying, oh, maybe not till 2028, 29, maybe 2030. And it just shows you shouldn't joke about these things.
I remember. Because I did a post on the Spy Command, and I said, okay, here's a back of the envelope estimate. And I was like, 20, and I said 2028, 2029. And I was, at this point, I did not envision, Amazon getting creative control. And it's like, yeah, well, Barbara Broccoli's going to want to do that. What's that movie anyway?
Othello.
Yeah, and she's going to want to do Othello, and it'll take so long to film, and it'll take so much in post-production, and and they're not going to do anything on the next Bond movie until after that. And then some guy got really upset. It won't take him that long to do it. And well, guess what? It's like, even if they had never done the deal with Amazon, okay, Othello still hasn't been made. So, we'd be kind of in the same boat, even if the Amazon deal had never taken place.
What happened with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
I know, we haven't heard of
that was supposed to be coming too.
That's right. Yeah, because the last we heard about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, oh, they got a writer. Oh, they got a director. That was in December of 2024. Well, they haven't cast it, much less made it.
Yeah.
Who knows? Sorry, I'm a little exasperated thinking about this.
Yeah, it's a very frustrating time to be a Bond fan. I've got to say that. I mean, it's incredible that we're 2026 now. In the last 10 years, we've had one film.
Yes.
And that film is celebrating its 5th anniversary this year.
Yeah.
There should be laws against that.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. I was the other evening, I recorded a non-Bond podcast, and host asked me, "What do you think who do you think will be the next Bond?" I said, "They're not going to ask me. I'm not going to invest my well-being in who gets cast. It's like, that's their business. I'll evaluate it once it's happened, but I'm not going to get all upset about it right now."
Yeah, I did that in 2005, and it didn't work out for me. But having said that, in the time since we've last discussed it, has anyone moved up your wish list of all the names that have been out there? Has anyone caught your attention to where you've been you know what, they'd be okay? I wouldn't mind seeing them get the role.
There was this guy, what is Callum something? Yeah, that's it. And I looked oh, maybe. But then I saw some people, oh, he's too tall. And he's like, well, gee, with Daniel Craig, people were upset that he was too short.
Yeah, well, and also Tom Cruise played Jack Reacher in a film or two as well, didn't he? He's supposed to be 6'7" or something like that. I don't think that Tom Cruise can jump that high.
You'd be surprised. We recently watched Frankenstein last night, which had Jacob Elordi in it, who is, according to World of Real, that's their guy, even though that's Amazon's guy, even though the script's not written and, hasn't been signed off by the director. But I like him as an actor. He would not be my choice for Bond. But like you said, Bill, it's not up to me.
Well, and here's the other thing. It's I'm not a casting director. That's not how that's not how I make my living. And, casting directors have more knowledge about available actors than 99% of fans do. There's some unknown out there who may be
even
perfect.
more than the bookies.
Yeah, because, and the other thing is sometimes, someone pops up that you never thought of, and then you see him or her like, that's really good. One example off the top of my head is Robert Downey Jr. when he was cast as Iron Man back in 2008. And I was like, I never would have thought of Robert Downey Jr. And then I heard about him and I went, and then I saw him, I was like, oh, he's pretty good. And, there's always that possibility. It's like, anyway, we'll see what happens. And I assume we'll have more talk about this as 2026 unfolds. But somebody you would never have thought of might get the gig. And you don't know about him. I don't know about him, but the casting director knows about him. And, bring him in for an audition and he might knock you out in the, whatever.
Yeah. I've just started a week or so ago watching the new season of The Night Manager. I don't know if you've seen. If you've seen that,
but I've heard of it.
Amazon.
I've heard good things.
Yeah. The first one was about 10 years ago. Maybe it was 2015, something like that. And it was a really, really good series with Tom Hiddleston. And
yes.
I think he's too old for the role now, but I think he could have made a good Bond 15 years ago or so.
I remember when he was part of the Idris Elba conversation between Spectre and No Time to Die.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember because a, quote, prominent Bond fan, unquote, went on Facebook and said, Craig's out,
that's true, yeah.
And Barbara Broccoli's offered Tom Hiddleston the role. And then like a couple weeks later, this apparently caught on, and then Tom Hiddleston had this public appearance, and it didn't exactly feel sorry. He's a well-paid actor, but still, he's being asked by fans about this, and he's like doing his best to, I don't think so. It had to be uncomfortable for him, but yeah, Tom Hiddleston for Bond kind of caught fire like the 2016 time frame, and then it went away.
Yeah. That's what I'm wondering if this Callum Turner is going to be the same thing.
I would say to both of you and to anybody who is listening that if you haven't seen The Night Manager, then watch it. It's really good. The original series was based on a book by John le Carré, and the second one uses the same character but in an original story. But so far it's so good.
Well, in general, Le Carré seems to translate better to miniseries or limited series, like a streaming show, than he does to feature films. There was both a miniseries and then later a feature film of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and I saw both. But
yes,
and they're both good. But the miniseries was definitely superior.
Because the miniseries had Alec Guinness as George Smiley. And it was Gary Oldman in the film, I think. But to me, when I was watching it, it seemed like Gary Oldman was trying to do an impersonation of Alec Guinness playing George Smiley.
Yeah. So, well, I tell you what, Javi, is there something you wanted to add?
No, other than just I'm over here waiting for First Light, I know they announced a different collector's edition, but I'd already made my selection back when it first got announced. Matthew Dewhurst on the Hildebrand, man from Hildebrand, had pointed out to me that there's a Corgi Aston Martin Valhalla that's coming out tied into the video game that's up now for pre-order, which I thought was interesting because I don't think we've ever gotten a car from the video games before as a toy. So I thought that was interesting.
That's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah. And they of course did push back the video game. I think it was 3 months. It's going to be like the end of May now.
From March to May.
Yeah. which I'm fine with, as Calvin Dyson said, well, given all the delays with Bond, like what's 3 months?
Yeah.
And if it makes sure the game performs better, that's
and doesn't glitch.
Right.
Yeah. I think there's something else that we should mention before we go, and that is the 20th anniversary of Casino Royale.
Yes.
And that is this year. It's which is incredible. I just can't believe how 2 decades have passed since.
Yeah.
We had Daniel Craig obviously announced in October 2005, and so that we've passed that 20th anniversary now. But we'll be heading up for the 20th anniversary of Casino Royale at the end of this year. So that's something to make us all feel a bit too old.
And, even less so, Diamonds Are Forever is 55 and For Your Eyes Only is 45. So, we have a few anniversaries. My hope, as always, is that we get some La La Land releases. I'm still holding out hope that we get a GoldenEye 1 this year. Because until November, the film is still 30 years old.
Oh, yeah, it's true, yeah.
Well, maybe Diamonds Are Forever is a possibility. 55. I don't know. We'll see. We could ask Neil S. Bulk, but he wouldn't tell us. And
yeah, he would not.
Nor should he.
Yeah.
But that's something to consider. All right. Well, I think we'll sign off. Thanks to our listeners, for those who've been here from the beginning. And we hope to have some entertaining episodes as this year unfolds.
Well, I think we'll have plenty to talk about at some point. Just not for a while. Well, we can talk about stuff, but just not about Bond 26.
Right. Well, and hopefully we can entice a few new guests to the podcast as well, because I think in 2025, I think we had some interesting guests, and hopefully we can continue that trend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, this is Bill Koenig speaking for David Leigh and Javi Trujillo. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.